You're listening to episode 14 of the Lupus Speaks Podcast, and I have so much that I want to share with you today. First, I want to introduce Dr. Jasmine Kearse, and she is a psychiatrist out of Atlanta, and she also is a lupus warrior, and she has so much information as a psychiatrist and the things that we should look for in our mental health as lupus warriors. But I want to make sure that I also share my journey with you guys when it comes to what I have found in the digital marketing space. Before we get into the interview, I just want to say this digital marketing journey that I have taken is mind blowing. And I know that I dedicated myself to this podcast, so therefore I'm going to show up every week with new episodes until the summer. And then the podcast is going to be going on a break. But let me make this quick. I stumbled across this course because I kept seeing people on social media. They were making money online. It looked like they were changing their lives because I remember how they started and now where they were now. And I also realized that people were making money from accounts where they weren't showing their face. And so I just took interest into how were they doing this? How was this new age children at 19 years old have these houses? And I'm just like, and it's really not about the house, obviously, because we all desire different material things. But I guess for me, I'm just like, how can I change my life and my family's life? Like, how can I elevate myself into the next level of branding and business and be able to really advocate for others and promote things for this community? I have to have some resources. So I'm diving into this stuff and I'm like, man, we could have been doing this. All of us, like I'm here to tell you the truth. Like, and this may or may not hurt your feelings, but I'm going to just say it. We already have the skills that it takes to have an online business selling digital products. Now, let me tell you how, okay? Majority of our Instagram pages are faceless. Some of us only post information and stats about lupus or motivation or quotes or things like that. A lot of us are not on camera. So that's the number one thing that you need to start the online business is an account that you can run without being on camera. The second benefit to this is that you can literally create the same graphics, but just for a different profile. Like it don't even have to be related to lupus. It could be related to something else that you have interest in, where you can create a digital product with the information that people in your audience would like to know. So you could leverage that by selling MMR or PLR products, meaning MMR, master resale rights is what it's called. So this is just giving y'all information about stuff that you really don't know, because I don't have a lot of time to pop up on social media. So my podcast is getting the tea early, okay? MMR is master resale rights, meaning if this is something information that a lot of us might not know, and you get the rights to resell these high ticket products and make full 100% of the profit. And a lot of them offer payment plans. I'm currently on a payment plan because it is an investment, but I felt like it was something that it's worth digging into. And I spent the money, I got the access to the course, and it's literally mind blowing. You're learning email marketing. So even if you do not want to resell this course, you can learn the things that you need to elevate your lupus brand or your business in general. Like whatever you want to do is giving you the tools to how to use social media to brand and market yourself in business. So whatever type of content that you would like to create, you'll be able to learn all of that within this course. So it's teaching you email marketing, how to edit, how to, even if you think that you are experienced in these things, I'm going to tell you right now, you would find something like more than one thing. I'm getting ahead of myself, y'all, because this is just so much information. And the only thing you can really do is be willing to kind of do something different and invest in the course. Okay, my link is in my bio, and I'll put it in the description about the episode so that you can really get in there and take the classes. The classes are super easy. It's just like watching YouTube videos all over again, with every different segment. So yeah, that's just a little bit for right now. And then, like I said, I'm going to be sharing my journey. And if you follow me on Instagram at Lupus Speaks, you'll be able to see actively how my content changes and everything like that. And I'm so willing to share what I'm learning on the podcast and with the Loopy Boss Academy, which is an exclusive group just for lupus warriors who are in business or that want to elevate their brand and be on social media and create content as a content creator. Like, that's what it's for. So if you're interested in that, please go over and click the link, and it'll take you to where you need to sign up for the group. So yes, let's get into the show. We have Dr. Jasmine Kearse. Hi, welcome to Lupus Speaks Podcast, where we shine a spotlight on lupus who are bossing it in business, inspiring others, and making a mark in the lupus community. I'm your host, Shedrica Holmes, on a mission to showcase the incredible journeys of lupus warriors turned entrepreneurs, influencers, and advocates. So get ready for empowering stories, insightful conversations, and a dose of inspiration. This is not just a podcast, it's a platform for you to dream again. So join me as we explore the possibilities beyond lupus and celebrate the resilience of lupus community. Welcome back to another episode of Lupus Speaks Podcast, and I'm your host, Shedrica Shante, and today we have a special guest, Dr. Jasmine Kearse. She is a psychiatrist that is dedicated to helping others with her mental well-being. She believes in embracing both success and failures in life, trusting in God's preparation for whatever comes her way. Lupus may be a part of her journey, but it certainly does not define her. So let's welcome to the show, Ms. Jasmine Kearse.
Hi, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And I want to thank you for having this outlet. Just
Oh,
to be
thank
able
you.
to come on here and share our stories and get the support, information, whatever it is that your podcast provides. This is what we need. And so thank you for starting this and being a lupus warrior so that we can have a place to come to. It's,
Oh, thank you.
mm,
It is definitely not easy because, we still have to live lupus and live life and try to
yeah,
navigate that extra thing. It is definitely something I'm proud of, working with everybody and being able to share my story and hear other people's stories. I feel like it gives me a different perspective, only not just what I'm going through, but being able to empathize with other people's lupus stories are like, because some things I haven't experienced with lupus that others have.
yeah,
So it just gives me the space to learn more about it.
yeah, it's wonderful.
So thank you. Okay, so Dr. Jasmine, could you share more about your journey with lupus from the early symptoms you experienced as a child to the eventual diagnosis in 2017?
Yeah. So during childhood, I had pretty typical lupus symptoms and always complained. And one thing I say is that no one listened and no one saw me. I would complain about fatigue, achy joints, my muscles were hurting. I would have a lot of GI upset. My mood was not um, what you would consider to be a typical mood of a young child. Um, and the fatigue was the biggest thing. I was always asleep.
Really?
Yeah, I actually in high school was written up several times for sleep,
No.
and it wasn't anything I could stop. It was some type of sleep. It just came over me, and it would be like my eyes would start rolling, and I was out, and that continued throughout my whole childhood, adulthood, until I was diagnosed with lupus. I actually, the beginning of it, when I realized, hey, something's really wrong, was a few years before I got diagnosed when I lost vision in my right eye.
Completely.
Yeah, it completely lost vision in my right eye. It did return. It was um, temporary blindness in the right eye for about 24 hours. And that has happened 3 times over the course of my life since 2014. And I also began to have right-sided weakness. And what they ended up diagnosing me with after I got my lupus diagnosis was lupus cerebritis, but we'll get to that.
Right. Because I haven't even heard of that.
Yeah. So the actual diagnosis came by accident. I was in the doctor for leg pain because I started not being able to walk. And so I went to the doctor and said, hey, I'm having some leg pain. And the doctor really was treating me for the leg pain. And as she was walking out of the office, she noticed that I had tape around my pinky finger and my ring finger. And she asked me why I buddy taped it. So, a buddy tape is basically I'm supporting one finger to the other. So I had basically buddy taped them together, and that helped alleviate some of the joint pain. And I told her, I said, well, I'm having joint pain. I kind of always have joint pain. And I'm just trying to alleviate it. Nothing usually works. And she said, well, I'm going to order some extra tests and we'll see what's going on. And she left. There was no other conversations. She just
So
left.
she didn't like even hint at that it could be something else off the top. Oh, wow.
No, she just said I'm gonna order some other tests because hey, I mean I'm a doctor. She's a doctor. She's just like that's weird. I'm gonna order
Right.
some other tests. And she called me about 4 days later and said, "Hey, I got some news for you." And I was like, "Oh boy, what's going on?" She said, "You have lupus. Your numbers are off the chart." She said, "Actually,
Mm-hmm.
some of the highest numbers I've ever seen." And I was
Mm-hmm.
like relieved.
Yeah.
It was like a
Yeah.
whole weight had been lifted off my shoulder because for years I had been saying something is wrong. Obviously, after I went to med school, I had my own ideas. I thought it was lupus versus multiple sclerosis, just different kind of things. But yeah, it turned out that it was lupus, and she had me in a rheumatologist within a week, and that began my journey. And so the lupus cerebritis came about after the second time that I lost the vision in my eye. And my neurologist that I was seeing for migraines, um, he diagnosed me with the lupus cerebritis. He said, You're getting the temporary blindness because of the lupus," after he ran all the imaging studies and everything. And so it has happened a total of 3 times. It is probably my most scariest symptom, um,
Mm-hmm.
because it comes with the eye blindness, confusion, the inability to find words. So it affects my speech, and I just feel it's the worst feeling when it happens. So it's been a journey, but
It sounds like a seizure when you're awake.
yes, but just I
Kinda.
have no
Just.
movement. I have no actual
Mm-hmm.
movement, and it's a gradual loss of the vision. So I know now, like when I start seeing like spots, I know okay, it's getting ready to happen. I'll go ahead and go to the doctor, and they'll try to figure out what it is. Doctors who are not very well versed, and I am saying this as a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
doctors who are not very well versed about lupus cerebritis always want to tell me that I'm having a complex migraine. Not,
Really?
yeah. So complex migraines do have things like temporary vision loss, weakness, of course, the migraine, the headache, and everything like that. But that is not what's happening with me, sir or ma'am.
Right.
So
Wow.
it's
Your
funny.
journey is very, very interesting. Just from the beginning, just going all those years, just knowing something was wrong, and nobody ever just thought to do extra testing until
Um,
taping your fingers together.
Well, you know what I can say? The first time I lost the vision, no. I actually had gotten what's called angioedema, and that's swelling of the face and lips. And I got it
Mm,
after I had eaten some seasoning that should not have caused such a reaction. So when it happened 2 days later again, and I hadn't eaten anything, the emergency room that I went to, they ordered half of the autoimmune panel, and I didn't.
mm.
So I technically could have had my diagnosis in 2014, actually 2013, but they didn't tell me they had ordered half of that.
So
Pan-
they didn't even look at the results either, just to see, like, apparently not.
Apparently not. So I only found out when I had requested my charts because I moved from New Jersey to Atlanta, and that was around the time of 2017. After I had gotten a diagnosis, so I requested my charts just to go over them, and I looked at the lab results, and I was like, "Oh my God! If they would have told me this, I'm a physician. I would have figured out that I needed the rest of the autoimmune panel and that it was
Hmm.
pointing directly towards lupus." So
Wow.
I lost years then, but I say that God knew I didn't need to know at that point. Okay.
Hmm.
Because if I had found out about my lupus in 2013, you do all of your adjustments, you get on your medications and everything. And of course, they always tell us that, if we want to be pregnant or anything, we have to, come off certain medications, at least some of the
Right.
ones. Um,
Right.
I was blessed the daughter on in 2015, and I know that she probably would not be here if I was controlled with my lupus at that time.
Medications.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Oh.
I say God knew I was getting ready to get something that I needed in my life, and that definitely wasn't the right time to find out. So
Matter of fact, I think from that story, and I kind of going to throw me off of what we were going to talk about, but I'm interested to know, excuse me, when you did have your baby during that time, like how did your body respond? Like, because when both of my pregnancies, they have said that the baby is usually the steroid, and so when you're carrying, it kind of actually makes you feel a little bit better. At least that was my experience. And then after the baby is out, then that huge steroid has been removed, and I go into a huge flare afterwards. So, what was your experience like on pregnancy?
the total opposite. I remember thinking, who said pregnancy was good?
Right,
Like,
right.
who wants to do this? I don't want to do this. This is
Somebody tell the truth.
please. So for me, it was extremely painful. And again, I didn't know I had lupus, but I was always complaining about pain, fatigue. I was actually in residency at the time, and I could fall asleep and I wouldn't hear my phone, pager, overhead pages because I was just so exhausted. I had an office, so and I didn't mean to fall asleep, but I would just
Hmm.
fall asleep. I was falling asleep during lectures. I was academic chief at the time, so I'm supposed to be teaching you all, and I'm sitting here
Mm. Ooh, that was bad.
because I could not wake
Stay
myself.
awake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always felt like there was something wrong. I knew something was wrong with me, but I was just
Right.
so afraid that something was wrong with the baby. So I
Mm.
spent a lot of time in the particular hospital I had my baby at, had an emergency room specifically for um, maternal fetal health. So I spent a lot of time in their emergency room, probably got on their nerves because I got on my doctor's nerves because I was always in the doctor's office. And it didn't feel good any of the way through. And when I had her, I had to have a C-section. After I had the C-section, it took me 2 days to start urinating, which was one of the things that was required for me to be able to see my baby because she was actually in the NICU. Um, and I believe that the reason it took so long is because of the lupus. I think my kidneys were being affected at that time. They didn't know I had lupus, so they weren't looking for any kind of kidney thing. They just thought that, hey, your body's just not ready to urinate. And their policy was that I could not go down to the NICU until I had actually passed urine twice with the nurse, once by myself. It took me 4 days. So I actually didn't know what my baby looked like.
So 4 days later?
Yeah, because when they rolled me by her after the C-section, she of course had on an oxygen mask and everything, and so her face was covered. I couldn't see her face. I was laying in a gurney bed. There was no way I could see her face. I can just see her body, and I could barely reach over to touch her, and all I could really touch was her feet. So I had no idea what she looked like. Yes, people were providing me pictures, but that wasn't the same as the first time I got to actually look at her and hold her myself.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard a C-section story go that way.
No.
So that's different.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Woo. Okay, so on a lighter note, let's ask you this. As a psychiatrist, how do you integrate your personal experiences with lupus into your practice to better understand and support your patients' mental health journeys?
Well, one thing I will say is I think that most people with lupus really should understand that lupus is highly connected to mental conditions, especially depression and anxiety and
Mm-hmm.
psychosis. And so
Oh,
oh, yes, yes, very
oh,
prevalent. Uh, so
okay.
I think most of us, we have the depression part, and we just think that we're just sad. We're self-loathing, and we don't feel worthy because either we're struggling to do something, we have our pride, we don't want to ask for help when we're in our crises, and so it can be very lonely having
Mm-hmm.
this because there's just so much care that's needed. And I
Right,
feel like people just suffer through it. And so I'm here to say that, hey, you do not need to suffer through it. It is
right.
normal. It's very, very normal for you to have depression, to have anxiety. And the psychosis part is usually for people who have like the lupus cerebritis, like I have. And also, when you get so depressed, your brain tries to compensate and also makes you psychotic. So it's yeah, yeah. So you can get so deep in your depression that you end up being psychotic, and you might not even know. You just know you got a low key paranoia, and people just think that you're just just overcautious, and it's like, no, this is actually a small psychosis episode that is due to your major depression, that is due to your lupus. And so I always tell people when I speak about lupus and mental health is please see a psychiatrist. I know we, especially as Black women and men, we don't like to go to the psychiatrist. It was one of the reasons why I picked the field because I felt
Mhm.
we needed representation. So please go see a psychiatrist and make sure that you handle your mental health because once the mental health part is stable, you'll notice that some of your symptoms become easier to deal with and it becomes easier to navigate your life when your mood is stable. And
Absolutely.
I went through it. That this lupus depression, a joke.
It's on another level, especially when you already have traumas.
Yes.
So then you attach those traumas to, what you experiencing, like, oh, this is my fault, or it's
Mhm.
because of this happened, or, you just, for me, I'll speak for myself. I ended up tearing myself down even more.
Of course.
Yeah. And I think I've had different seasons of depression, just by
Mhm.
what's happening in that, time of my life, or just the actual pain of living with lupus. Um, but I always sought out like just a regular therapist, just somebody to kind of navigate my highs and lows between them. But I never really thought something as serious as a psychiatrist in the work that you guys do, because I'm aware that it's a little different.
Mhm.
It's really different.
Mhm.
So to hear the psychosis part attached to it is kind of deeper. It's like, what I hear is that you can think yourself to make yourself crazy. Like you can like think yourself, and I don't want to say crazy in a negative way, but just due to how you're feeling, you can really talk yourself into a
Yes.
deeper serious issue.
Mhm.
That's kind of scary a little.
It is very scary. And one I want to say, as a psychiatrist, I hate the word crazy, but
That's why I said, that's you see me take back out the word. I was like, I don't mean it.
but what I like to say is that again, it's really just about what you just said. You break yourself down so much that you just get into these deep seated depressions. And once you're there, it's very hard to come out of. And then you're just kind of on autopilot, is what I like to call it. You're just going through your day to day, life. You got to take care of your kids. You try to do the best you can, but then you realize you're snapping at them. You're at work and maybe you're underperforming. You're just irritable and you're hurting already physically, and now
Right.
mentally you're thinking that you're such a weak person. Why should I be here? So suicidal ideation
Mm-hmm.
also is very common with
Mm-hmm.
lupus survivors. I call everybody a lupus survivor. Once you find out you have lupus, you're a lupus survivor because you every day
Right. Absolutely.
laughing. So um it's scary out there, but I just want to say you are not alone at all. And for those of you who live in Georgia and Florida, if you have been struggling with some type of mental symptoms, I'm not saying you have a mental disorder, and we as Black people have a black stigma against
Right. Just
mental health.
attached to us. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so what I want to say is call my office because you are not alone. My philosophy with my patients is that I am here to go along your life journey. Okay. Yes, it's a life journey, and lupus is a lifetime illness. And so these symptoms are going to be with you. So why not have somebody who can support you and listen to you? That is my biggest thing. My patients always tell me they've never had a psychiatrist specifically or a doctor who actually listens, sees them, and wants to know what's going on with them to figure out how to best help them. I can't help you if I'm brushing you off and just writing you medications and sending you out the door. That's not how my practice works. And so if you're in Georgia or Florida, I see patients virtually. So you don't even have to get up. You can be in your crisis in the bed,
Right.
barely moving, and I will still see you and I'm going to help you every bit of the way. So it's my passion. I love being a psychiatrist, and it is very different than a therapist. So just for those people that don't know, I'm a psychiatrist, which means that I'm a medical doctor who specializes in psychiatry, which has to do with mental health. So I've gone to medical school, gone to psychiatry residency, and then of course I'm a lupus survivor, and I know what it feels like to be in your position. And I'm here to help. The other thing is that I also want to tell people that use your connections. There are a lot of celebrities that have lupus, and I think we need to start confronting them, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, and let them know that, hey, we need to start getting the community together. We need to have our podcast specialist. We need to have a psychiatrist. We need to have a lupus survivor who's a therapist, a lupus survivor who's a psychologist, a lupus survivor who's a primary care, a lupus survivor who's a rheumatologist, and you to actually come together. And we need to make conferences and conventions to bring awareness and solidarity. So I'm gonna say it right here, Nick Cannon, we need it. But it's gone. Congrats.
Okay.
You live in Atlanta. You know, celebrities have that ability to do those things. So I'm gonna keep calling them out. Seal, hey, Seal.
Okay. And then
What?
I just think that there are some people that we just don't know that just keep it a secret because a lot of them don't want that attached to them. You know
They
what
don't.
I mean? They don't want that. Because I know I was that person. You know, I always felt like I want to be, Shedrica, just so happened that I have lupus, but I didn't want that to be at the forefront. And for a long time, and still to this day, I've been battling like how I want to show up. But I keep telling myself, like, God didn't give me this particular experience for me to just keep it a secret. And just like learning how to live out loud, even though I don't really prefer to, be out loud.
You know what's funny? I actually need to thank you because
Oh,
I struggle with just kind of accepting the lupus. Like I know I have it. I take my medications. I deal with it. There's a few people that know, but I just feel like I couldn't accept it. I would look at the lupus websites and I go, click, no, I'm not doing that. So this is actually the first time, and I think that's another reason why it took me so long to accept the invitation from you. Is this is the first time that I am saying, hey, I am a lupus survivor and I am accepting my diagnosis. And it is
wow.
because of you. I
Oh my
it
God.
really is. And so, thank you so much for that because it gave me the confidence. There's nothing to be ashamed about, but we feel ashamed. Um,
Absolutely.
so, thank you for that. Um,
You just don't know what you did. Look, but that's all it's about. You know what I'm saying? Is being able to uplift each other and encourage each other. And because, I just don't think I'm anybody. I'm not a doctor. I didn't go to school. I'm just me. And
you are enough.
mm,
You are enough. You're enough.
I don't hear that enough. So just being able to, hear that from you, an expert, in my mind, it's just like I'm helping you in this so big way. Like y'all heard it first.
Y'all heard it first. I mean, because to just come on a podcast and announce that I have lupus, that scared me so much. Um,
Mm,
and I was like, why would I do that? And it took
yeah.
me a while. And I feel so good about this decision. I and
Mm.
can thank no one else but you and our friend that connected us.
Yes, and I thank God too. I
Yes,
thank God that He, allowed me to have this place and to be able to reach out to people and be like, "Hey, do you know so and so?" And because
absolutely.
she did give me, a little bit, just saying that she don't really talk about it, so I don't know if she will, but we'll
You know,
see.
I ain't talking. She know about it, but I ain't talking about it.
Yeah,
So
and I just thank you so much for feeling comfortable and just sharing that with me and my audience. Like that's a big thing because I know something like that could impact your work too.
oh, it
But
definitely impacts my work. I mean, there are days that I have to cancel patients because I just can't do it. But um, I try not to. And that's some of my patients may know that I have lupus just because they'll get anxious, like, well, why weren't you? Because you never
yeah,
cancel on me. What's wrong?
yeah.
And I go, oh, okay, well, I got lupus.
And
But
then when they really need you, they don't want you to to counsel.
right. But the ones that do know have been very respectful and caring about my lupus and situations. And they always ask me, how are you doing? You take such good care of me. How are you doing? Do you need anything? And I appreciate that. And we have to remember that our family and friends also go through the struggle with us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things. And also, Selena Gomez, you have lupus too. Let's get it together. And the last person I'm going to call out does not have lupus, but lupus is more prevalent in the Black community, specifically for Black females, and it usually starts out with the symptoms at a younger age than other races. So we are the large majority of the lupus survivors as Black females. And so I want to call out the person I know that has the, in my opinion, biggest female audience because she is spread it. She's got young, middle age, old age. Meg the Stallion, girl, you a hottie, and your hotties are large and in charge. And I feel like if you were to even back lupus, not just because you're backing a disease, you don't have lupus, but you have the largest audience of the people who could have lupus, who may be suffering and not know they have lupus, not know what the symptoms are, may not know how to get resources, may not know how to figure out which doctor they need to go to, which, medications are useful and what the medications mean. Because a lot of times us doctors, it's not me, but other doctors are just like throwing medications. But
Right.
to me, Meg Thee Stallion is one of my favorite rappers. And so she has our population at her fingertips. The hot
Mm-hmm.
thing is there.
Mm-hmm.
And so she has, in my opinion, the platform to say to Black women, hey, there are diseases out there that are specifically more prevalent for us, and we need to take care of ourselves. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not going to shout out no more celebrities.
Look, because you were on it today. You came in hot. You made your announcement. And you like, all right, y'all. Somebody else say something.
Because we have to get it together, because at the end of the day, um, a lot of this disease is about education.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard navigating everything that's online. You don't know what's true, you don't know what's helpful. Just simple things like some people with lupus, I will admit, me, I am taking methotrexate. Methotrexate is a shot I have to give myself once a week. Okay, it is
Okay.
technically a cancer drug, and so all of the symptoms that you would get from a cancer drug, I get. So now I have lupus, and I'm getting all of the cancer symptoms. And one of those symptoms is chronic diarrhea. Yep, just embarrassing
Oh,
myself.
wow.
Chronic diarrhea. But if there are some of you out there that deal with the chronic diarrhea because you're taking the same medication, now this is not a medication. This is just for educational purposes, everybody. I'm telling you something that I like. don't go around saying Dr. Kearse told me to take this. No, I'm not telling you to take anything. I'm just telling you that I like this and someone introduced it to me. It's called Bananatrol. And it basically is a medical food. Is like banana flakes, and it helps with the diarrhea. You just take it once a day, and it actually does work for me, at least. And so
So is it just specific for diarrhea or is it just for like nausea, upset stomach, all of that?
it is specific for diarrhea.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but it helps with the nausea, obviously. So, gut health is very important with lupus, and it helps with that specific symptom, and that alleviates a lot of the pressure because you're at work and then you got to go run to the bathroom. You don't want to do that; it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
So, it does help, and it's simple. I got it right off Amazon, and
Mm.
yeah, got it right off Amazon. And so these are the type of things that I think panels would be useful for, because you might have found something that worked for you and a symptom you have, and someone is going to say, oh, well, I need to try that.
You're right, because I haven't tried that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's helpful to be able to be open about what we've tried. No, not everybody is a medical professional, but that doesn't mean that you don't have experience and expertise in what helped you with your disease.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one more question. In
Okay.
your experience with lupus, what are some common misconceptions or stigmas surrounding it? And how can we work towards raising awareness and fostering understanding within the community?
People think we're lazy.
Mm, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm. My favorite shirt to wear, and I wear it so much, it's so raggedy. But it has a sloth on it. I said it's my spirit animal. But it says, I have lupus and I don't have the energy for you today.
hmm
And it's my
hmm
favorite shirt. Because people really think that we're lazy. We are not lazy. We have a disease that makes us fatigued and we're tired and we don't know when it's going to hit. So we're not trying to avoid going out to your birthday party that you had, or we're not trying to avoid going to the grocery store. And so we're using delivery services. We're not trying to stay in the bed and stay in the house, sit on the couch, because it gets very isolative and lonely. We don't want that. But
Right,
unfortunately, we are tired. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. People think we're lazy, and we're not. That's not it. Believe me, we would be up doing something if we could. And
right.
so I want to tell your audience it is okay to
Good
just
rest.
whatever. I gotta rest.
hmm
Gotta rest. The other thing is, I would like to tell your audience is, it is okay to mourn the loss of your functionality, because a lot of times you find when you get the diagnosis, you finally realize how much time you lost. It's okay to mourn that loss. It's okay to say, my life was affected so much before I got this diagnosis, and now it's being affected even more that I have it and I'm receiving treatment. But it's okay. Mourn the loss. I mean, there are people out there who can't do certain things, like, me and you, we both have children. There are women who have lupus that are not going to be able to have children and they want to have children. It's okay to mourn the loss that this disease has taken something away from you that you desired.
Mm,
That's where God steps in. And I tell people
yeah,
all the time, I don't pray for my successes or that I want and all the good things. I actually tell God to bring all of it to me, the negative and the positive, because the negatives are where you learn your strength and you are able to build yourself up. You may not feel like it, but that's where it's coming from, the negatives. The positives are just there to kind of get you through, and you're like, yay. But
right.
you got to ask God for all of it, and you got to ask God for the strength to deal with all of it. Send it all my way, because it's the only way I'm going to get through this. So,
Yeah. I've
mhm.
never heard of it in that perspective before. It's very interesting. I'm kind of just taking it all in.
Yeah.
It was well said.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for me. And again, I appreciate you. So we need to get together and figure out what we can do. We're in different states, but we can figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can figure it
Absolutely.
out. I am always on board with trying to help the next person. And again, remember, sometimes when you're trying to get diagnosed, I know, no one listens to us. We're not seen. But I want to let you know that I hear you and I am here to support anybody that needs to be supported. And I hope that we can stay connected and actually come up with a way to just
I got
educate people.
several ideas.
Girl, we need to talk because I got some
Several.
too, and I bet we have a lot of similar ideas, and we just got to get together and brainstorm. I just came up with an idea just now, sitting.
Oh, okay. All right. So, where can everybody find you if they would like to work with you?
Yes. So my office phone number is 470-785-9433. You can also go to my website. See, dry mouth is one of the symptoms, right?
Mhm.
So my website is www.alignecognition.com is my website. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, and it's at Align Cognition. Is the name for Facebook and Instagram, and I try to be as active as I can. You'll see that there's really big spurts where I'm putting out all kind of material, and then you'll see it goes dead. Those are usually my flares.
That's me too, and I hate it because I'm just like, oh, I was getting good, and I just lose one follower, and I'm like, oh no, I need more content.
Oh, no, I understand the struggle is real, but again, the purpose is to get out there and educate. And thank you again for having this platform.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if anyone would like to connect with Miss Jasmine Kearse, please go and check out her website. And until next time, you guys, peace and be intentional. As we wrap up another episode of Lupus Speaks, I hope you are leaving with renewed inspiration and a belief that dreams are attainable despite lupus or any chronic illness. Let's keep the conversation going by connecting with us at Lupus Speaks on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Please remember you are not alone on this journey and that your dreams are not defined by lupus. They're powered by your strength and determination. So until next time, you guys, peace and be intentional.